Fall is definitely in the air. I've been craving a fall meal, even a wintertime meal, I guess you could say. So I'm going to roast this lovely piece of pork, a pork loin, which was on sale. Usually they're pretty cheap anyway. It's a great piece of meat if you want meat. I'm going to roast it and have it tonight, and then I'll be able to have slices of it for a sandwich with this beautiful loaf of sourdough bread that came into my life today for tomorrow. But this, what I'm going to do is sort of sear it first and then slather it with a sauce made of garlic and mustard and herbs, and that's going to be really good. Some potatoes on the side with fresh rosemary that I just picked from the bush outside my front door. Some green beans probably too. And for dessert, I think it's done. It looks great. Oh, a Pepperidge Farm apple turnover, which we all know and love. They take a long time to cook and a long time to cool, so I put it in already. And fortunately, I checked my oven earlier today with this oven gauge. I was a little bit skeptical, and it turns out I was right. It's a full 25 degrees lower than what the gauge says. So I'm having to crank it up more as I've learned, and now I know exactly why. So I recommend getting one of these and checking your oven, because it kind of is important for temperature dependent foods. It can make a big difference. So I'm going to put together this slather sauce with these dried herbs and the garlic and the mustard. Okay, so this sauce looks really saucy. It's minced garlic. I used my garlic press, which I love using, kitchen gadget. 4 cloves of garlic, thyme, dried rosemary, oregano, basil, regular yellow mustard, French's of course, salt and pepper, and this spicy mustard, fancy mustard, Mustard and Company, made in Ballard, Seattle, Washington, classic, but it's very spicy and whole ground. So this is going to be, and I put some oil in there too, olive oil. So I think that's going to be fantastic. Okay, so the pork I'm going to sear before I put it into the oven. So put a little seasoning on it first, and a little oil in my cast iron skillet, which will be great. And I want to just sear it on all sides before I put it, wrap it up, slather it and wrap it up in foil and put it in the oven. So let's do that. Yeah, okay. That looks good. Sounds good. Ooh. Yeah. All right, that is seared. That looks great. I stunk up the joint, of course, because that's what pan frying meat does for you, but that looks just the way I want it to before it's going to be really roasted in the oven. So, all right, I'm going to take that out. And I'm not going to let these this pan go to waste. I think I'm going to cook the potatoes in that cast iron skillet and put it all to good use. So we have this beautiful seared pork, and I'm just going to slather this slather sauce on it, the mustard, herb, garlic thing. Put it in some of these little cracks and stuff. Good. Okay. So, just gonna wrap this up. Not super tight, because I want to have it steam and, cook itself in there. and I'll just put it on this thing. And into a 350 degree oven it goes. In my case, 375, because I know it's 25 degrees lower than it should be. Okay, so for the potatoes, I said I'm going to use that same cast iron skillet that seared the pork, get a little extra flavor. And I'm using fresh rosemary to season these potatoes, which I think is appropriate. I'm going to put the potatoes right in there. This purple one's way bigger than the others, so I'm just going to cut it in half. Otherwise, yeah, that makes them all the same size. So then what happens is I'm going to put some water in there, about that much, and olive oil with the water, because as the water goes down, the olive oil will be left behind. Oh, that's the end of that. Good thing I got a new one. All right, so and some salt right away in there, and a little pepper too. And I'm just going to bring this up to a simmer and let those potatoes steam. Yeah, these potatoes are awesome. So yes, first steamed and then sauteed in the oil and rosemary and salt and pepper. So that looks like pan roasted potatoes. And this pork has got to be done. Ugh. Yeah, and my thermometer tells me that it's not up to snuff. Okay, look at this. What am I going to put this on? This thing, maybe. Why not? All right, the big reveal. See what happens. It's, ooh, I smell mustard. I smell garlic. Wow. Oh. Woof. Woof. That looks like a roasted pork loin with rosemary and garlic and mustard. That looks great. All right, so what I'm going to do is take it out of this foil. I'm just going to put it right on this tray with the juice and let it rest, because I can't cut into it right away, otherwise it just wouldn't work. But that is a nice looking thing, I'd say. Roasted pork loin. Okay. Okay, I have my warmed plate. Now I'm gonna serve up this. I'm gonna go to the small end first, because I want to have those big thick slices for my sandwich. It's tender and it's not dry. It's juicy, so I haven't cooked the hell out of it or anything. I think that was just about right for the, I considered cooking it without wrapping, and that probably would have been fine. It just I took some advice from different places, and I decided to wrap it instead. So meat, pork loin chunks, yeah, pan roasted potatoes, green beans, steamed green beans, give it a little bit of color and extra texture, and some of this extra saucy mustard, garlic, herb sauce that on the meat, on the beans too, maybe. How about that? Well, that looks pretty good, I'd say. That looks like a wintertime meal, or at least an early fall meal. All right, first let's try the beautiful meat. Beautiful pork loin roasted. Oh, it's so tender. And the garlic and herbs come through so nicely. And the mustard too. It's not overly spicy, but there's a little bit of bite from that fancy mustard that I had left over sitting in the fridge. Rosemary is so good. Let's try a potato. Roasted potato with fresh rosemary from outside my front door. Oh man, it's just so good. The potato flavor comes through, and it is so nicely seasoned. And crunchy textured green beans. I mean, this is such an easy, delicious meal and really inexpensive. I mean, the pork loin you can get anywhere, and I can't even speak. Oh, it's tender and juicy. Wow, that is so good. And as if that weren't enough, I have my Pepperidge Farm apple turnover to look forward to. A la mode? I think so. Oh. All right. On the sandwiches. Tomorrow, with Lena's beautiful sourdough loaf slices. See? I mean, if I can do this, you know, all right. You know what I'm saying.